So to Tableau, the first thing what happens, you connect to Tableau and open up the tool and you click on a new sheet. Let's start from scratch, completely new sheet and start defining things. I think it's going to take a few seconds. So this is the first screen which you will notice when you get into Tableau. It will provide us the capability to really start interacting, creating the data. So I'm going to just go housekeeping in certain ways in defining what is for people who have never seen Tableau, right? Assuming nobody has seen. I'm sure there are people experts in the group. So first and foremost is connecting the data. We have to bring your data to do anything, right? Without the data, there's no visualization. And this is exactly kind of the screen which I was showing you, part of it. What Tableau does is really as soon as you click it, all these kind of connectors just show up. And you can connect to all of these Excel, text files, other kind of formats, your databases, and all of these other ones, growing list. This is even, in fact, the older version of Tableau. The newer versions has much, much more. I haven't upgraded to the latest version yet. But you see it can be connected to several of the databases, JDBCs, and big data connectors. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to use one of the pre-populated or pre-provided data set, which instead of creating a new data set, they provide some sample data set. So I'm going to use this sample superstore.
It has to be structured data.
Yes, it has to be structured data. And that's why when you say Hadoop, still it is hitting high when Spark SQL and these are more structured format of big data. You're right. I just clicked on connecting to a sample database, which is could have been your Excel file. If you have a simple Excel file which has tons of data and information, it could be that, and you can bring that data. Or here it is a pre-made data, which was a superstore data, which was provided to us. It's doing what I was saying is like there are two things. There is a dimension, and dimensions are numerical things, which are like dates, your customer number, product dates, regions, all these mostly alphabetical things, characters or attributes. And your numbers are measures. Your graph is mostly computed of those things, and measures are metrics, which are numerical things, discounts, profits, sales, all that kind of numerical information which is put in. So these are two things which we are going to be playing around for most part of it. So with that said, I'm going to start interacting with that and start creating some visualizations on top of it. So first I'm going to start creating is interacting with sales. So what I have to do is simply drag and drop. And got and automatically, as you see, as I'm going through the steps, Tableau starts doing work for it. It starts saying, oh, you have one measure, one matrix, and I can create some graphical interpretation, the default graph on top of it. Let me add some side things from the dimension. I'm going to use category. Brought category. It brought in these categories, furniture, office supplies, and automatically made a bar chart for me without me trying to create anything. I didn't even select the chart of type on it. This is the easy part which I was talking about. So I said like these are charts now automatically available for me to interact. These are grayed out because some of these charts need more dimensions, couple of dimensions versus a single one. And this was all the intelligence in the brain of a particular BI developer. Who is that? I could just click this button and I can just convert it into pie chart, as simple as that. I don't have to really think about it, and then it automatically stops, not allowing me to do the things which I cannot use it. Back to my bar chart. I'm going to go back to my bar chart, and what it did is actually this time it flipped it vertically, and that's easy and trivial as well. If I'm just clicking this, I'm just going to flip around the axis and just instead of having this single click of a button, which you can keep moving around your data in various forms which you want. I'm going to go and keep it that way. And I'm going to bring in category. And here it seems like there is a grouping, like you have category and subcategory. So I took that information about category and built on top of category, right? What you also you can bring some color matrix into it. So I'm going to take profit and drop into this section, which is called color. So this color grouping is automatically done by gradient. If you see red as less profitable versus highly profitable, all that kind of data which can be brought into this kind of scenario, right? So it automatically did. I mean, usually all this used to be done in ancient world, like somebody used to graph it and plot it and say, oh, green is higher values and red is low. It just did it for you. What I did is I just dropped in based on profit. I want this graphical interface to be done. I can keep on building things on top of it. Let's add region on top of it. Let's add region. I added region to this sheet, and then we got this data divided into the 4 regions: central, eastern, southern, and as well. And I can start using make sense and look, wait, this is the red. And I can just highlight this and say, oh, it seems in the eastern zone, tables is the one which is really struggling in terms of profit margins and sales. So I can really pinpoint the data into one of these things. I just did it was just drag and drop a few things, right? So your data starts exploring and yourself giving some meaningful insights to that. So that's the first visual. We just took it and we just started dragging and dropping. We didn't go to any creation question.
These are all static charts. Do you have any dynamic ones where, let's say I change the revenues, I just move the slider to, or maybe the price on a product?
So the question was, for people on the phone, I'm going to repeat, is this a static chart, but what if I want a slider who want to say like, okay, or filter, for, I'm just changing, keeping the high sense in the same way, like, okay, I want to only show central region or eastern region, can I filter that? All that is possible. So you can select your filters and define that, and we'll be doing some of that as we go forward in the steps. Okay, so this is the first graph. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make few of the charts and create something called as a workbook in the Tableau's world. So I'm just going to take this interface, and this is the first worksheet which we have created automatically. This is the first one I've created. So here is the bottom which you see. There are options to keep creating more of these. And then you can create a dashboard. A dashboard is a place where you can create several visualizations together. The best example for your dashboard is a car dashboard. That's what it's called, right? So in your car dashboard, you see the heat meter, the fuel meter, your speed, all that kind of visual information, which is very critical for the success of successful or safe driving. It's all together brought in one place. So with that analogy, we'll try to create some of the graphical pieces of information and bring into a single dashboard. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and create duplicating this, and instead of but just click of a button, I can just create this whole thing again, or this time I'm just going to use as a cross tab to start giving me the numbers, just the raw data, right? Instead of having any other pieces into it, I can just have the raw data into it. I'm going to use, again, profit as the color matrix. So it starts popping me up, giving me the information in a visual way. The size definitely seems small, so why don't we just make the size bigger? And you can just slide the slides, and you can do that. If you wanted to flip it around this way or that way, that's definitely an option as well. Some of the things are getting stuck, so I'm just going to go back to a little bit down on the sides. So this is as quick of making another tabular representation of the same data, right? So somebody as a detail analyst or end user will be wanting to go to the lowest detail, versus somebody as a manager or senior executive would want to keep it at this level, high level. So there could be different people who are using different information, and within few clicks of a button, we got to the level of from this chart to another one. So that's our second chart. Now I'm just going to go ahead. So we duplicated this chart. We didn't create from brand new. I'm just going to go ahead and create a brand new chart, let's say. And this time, let's play around with some other things. So let's start with sales. And this time, yes, let's use 2 measures. No dimensions for now, at least. Got this. And we got sales and profit. We are just doing a comparison between sales and profit. This just brings 1 dot. So let's change that. It's going aggregate. So we just split it out. And instead of just giving one aggregated information, we split it out. Let's use some other pieces of information. We'll put some category and into this as color this time instead of profit. I'm just going to change the look of it, maybe make circles, a full circle. What I can also add other ingredients to it, and let's say add the names, the name of the people, which person is each of these bags. So So I just took that, and these are kind of the marks which define like this piece of data is not just the data, but how do you want to use this? I'm using that sometimes as a color. So by just dragging it to the color, I'm just saying, okay, that's the category which we are using. So category is defining the color automatically. It becomes, there is a legend and how it is used. I used the size already. So what I did with the customer name, I brought it into the label, and I got all that data labeled as well. Each of those dots were labeled. What I can do is try to define trend lines. So this is like overall, but I want to see the trending. Okay, how is the office supplies flowing in versus the furniture sales and profit margins going in as well. So I created a trend line which helps you to really see the overall flow of data moving as well. This is interactive. So as you were saying that it can be static or dynamic. So not only that you can filter all that, this is another way of visually filtering it. So what I did is I just filtered it on this piece of information. So rest of the piece is automatically gone in the background. So I'm just focusing on this set of data. So all that is possible as well. You can click on one particular line. All that thing can also be done. So I just created 3 different sheets, purposefully use different designs and styles to highlight different kind of functionality, which we were talking about and before, to really showcase what is possible. So we have created 3 sheets. Let's go for the next part of creating a dashboard. So when you click on new dashboard, you automatically get these 3 sheets available, which you've already created. And here I'm going to just go and drag and drop it out. Here we got it. It gives us the legend and things like that. The thing is, look at when I'm trying to do the second sheet, and that's where the grid which I was talking about comes into play. So you see this when I'm just bringing in, it's allowing and telling me, do you want to keep it on the side by side, or you want to keep it in up and down? And this is where the grid which I was talking about, Tableau is using to define the different grid system, and it has to have a grid system to be able to do that for you. So I said this way, I could bring in a third one. I could have the similar options again within that grouping. And once I put these pieces, I'm just randomly putting some graphs, I know all that. But this provides us kind of a whole visual together to give a single consolidated information. This could be much more useful information. What you can do is, we're talking about the interactivity. Each of this, what we are going to do is we are going to allow each of these to be used as a filter. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that for each of them. So each of the sheets, I'm going in there are settings, and I'm just going to clicking on use as filter. And I'll tell that what it means in a second. Doing this, and I can go in the presentation mode. In the presentation mode, and this is the dashboard which we have. And this could be an executive dashboard. You can have it online, shared through Tableau Online, or in your company's intranet, however you want to define it. And now what I did is I made each of these graphs to talk to each other. And let's say I was just focusing on the red area, which we were doing it before. By just clicking in that, not only that particular chart is changing, but it is acting as a filter for the rest of the charts because we did that. So we made each of these dashboards to talk to each other. Now that focusing on this particular red, somebody can start analyzing, oh, in the profit margin on the east side for the furniture tab, this is going on down, and these are the sales people involved in this, or customers, I think we were involved into that, and all that data analysis can be done together into a single dashboard. So that's kind of a quick summary of how you can create a dashboard and different kind of visualizations and features. Yes.
Question.
Yes.
How do you feed the dimensions and the measures?
So next part, the last part in this demonstration, what I want to do is like illustrate R, how R can be connected. And I'm just going to quickly go back to my screen where I was in the slide so that I can give you the flow and then actually do that flow. Here it comes. We talked about the process. If you wanted to connect Tableau to R would be this. You have to first of all have R. R is an open source tool which we talked about, and you can connect it to for statistical purposes, programming purposes. On top of there is a thing called R Studio. It's again free as well, open source, that can be installed. I've already installed that, and that makes life much easier. And if anybody needs steps for that, we can share that as well. Download RServe, which I'll be doing right now. It's one of the libraries, the functions within that. And these are some of the steps. These are typical R steps. Like anytime you do something in R, you have the library of things. You really bring in a package. Now we are just doing the R serve, so it becomes like a server hosted and being able to connect and allow us the capability to do any kind of interactions with it. These are some steps. Library, enabling it, you've installed it, you've enabled it, and rserve in the bracket as a syntax to really start it. So we have started rserve instance. I have already done all of that. So I will be showing a little bit how, pointing you to locations, but I will not be repeating that. It doesn't restart again anyway. So connect Tableau to R and then start using the script. This was kind of a flow, which is very similar. Start R and rserve. Load the data into Tableau and create some calculated functions, calculated fields to make it happen. So let's do these steps. Studio. Which is freely available and it allows you like a tool to really easily code into R language. What you can do is like this is a prompt in the prompt over here, and there are steps which I have done already. So I was talking about these blue steps which we are talking about, like install the packages. That's how we code in R. Is out of scope of this context, but I think if you understand those three steps, like basically any packages, that's how R goes. You install any particular package. You're creating and enabling that using the library function, and now we have started. Now, once this is enabled, R is ready, R server is ready, and Tableau allows us to really connect to that. So let's go back to our which we made. I'm going to take another sheet altogether, and first of all, we have to make a connection to R. So for that, you need to go to Help, Settings, and underneath so many places. It could be a better place to place it somewhere. And you have this Manage R connection. When you click on it, right now, this is the setting which is going to work fine because I have R running on my local machine, and that's the port which it is. If you happen to have an R server somewhere running it outside, you have to give that location and things. So I'm just going to click Test Connections. And to say successfully connected. So because R have started already and it is able. So now once that piece is in place, I can start using R. So the way to use R into your visualizations into this is to create calculated fields. So you take existing fields or any kind of new fields which you want to get. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take, let's say, profit, and I'm going to create, on profit, I'm going to create another calculated field. And name that as projected profit. This is kind of a visual builder which starts giving you like, okay, these are the fields, these are things which you can write on top of it. And once this is enabled, these are the 4 fields, or this is the 4 syntax which literally, that's all which R provides you to capability to interact with it. So there's script underscore whatever that is. It is a Boolean, or int, or real, or a string, depending on what kind of value which you are bringing. So I'm going to go for int real because I'm going to go for numericals which has decimals as well. I have written already the code. I'm just going to leverage that. So here is my R script. I'm just going to keep it, and these are the steps which we already don't know if that's even visible. Let me blow it up. Too big. So these were the steps which we did initially. Install the packages, rserve, and all these things. That was the steps which I was saying to initiate that. And then this is one of the codes. I'm not going to go specifically in the code, but the point is like you can bring in any kind of R code, and this is R coding here done here. What you're doing is the linear model, linear regression is being used with argument 1, which is variable definitions, and then there's 3 different arguments which are added out together. It may be even wrong. Business perspective, it doesn't matter. Demonstration perspective, that's important. So profit is attached to argument 1, and these are the 3 are attached to the different fields. And these are all, if I move it around, you see these fields are available somewhere. There's profit, there's sales, and quantity. So, and discount as well. So all these fields are, whichever is the square brackets, are shown as part of these existing things, and we are doing functions. That's the only way you interact with R in the Tableau world of it. So you have to have some aggregation. It doesn't have to be sum and average. It could be min, max, any of those. What I'm going to use this, I'm going to cry about this font. I don't think so. And I'm going to build my, instead of this, I'm just going to paste it out here. So I would have this additional field. And now I have got additional things, and which is directly going to invoke R and use all the power of R for the statistical purposes, what it was doing, without putting, reinventing the wheel and completely building it. So I could start building different charts on top of it. I can take profit. I can take my new projected profit. What I could bring into, let's say, the category. I want to go under the subcategory. I could add, again, profit as a color, maybe something else like a color, maybe a segment as a color. I could go in various variations. So what I have literally done in a few seconds, first of all, connected to R, have one key function which is connected to showing the profit and doing the mathematical statistical analysis and different models. There are different models, so regression models and Monte Carlo models and different models which you can build. So you do need to have knowledge of R to be able to connect to that, to build these things. But we have this kind of two functions being segregated, and it can be sum, and this triangle is telling me this is a calculated field which we created. Any calculated field will be shown like that. And in a very quick and short demonstration, we have created a visualization which is interacting and giving some meaningful information about interacting with R directly. So it's that easy to really interact and create R visualization in R, in Tableau.